when people met me, I may be saying nice, pleasant things, but they would feel that anger because, to be honest, I hated the world. Why me? This is so wrong. Why did that happen to me? And what I've realized is everything in my past happened for a reason to get me to where I am now. It created that blueprint. It created that reset, because without it, I wouldn't have the understanding of what I do.
Welcome to And Then I Did This. Prepare to be inspired as we celebrate the unique journeys of individuals who've had the courage to break free and live life on their own terms. Their lives prove that you truly can be free to live your best and most authentic life. Let's get to it. Welcome to the show. Today I have a special guest, Mark Young. He's a pioneer in somatic healing. He's the founder and creator of the Luz Foundation and the Somatic Plasticity 78-Day Reset. His work is deeply informed by his own journey through trauma, healing, and rebuilding. I can't wait to get into all of this. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be with you today.
So I'm so excited to hear your journey because I believe so much in what you are doing, even though I've just been able to take a baby step with your soul blueprint that I had the privilege of receiving one from you. Talk about your process. Like how did you even discover what you're doing currently? Because I really think it's like groundbreaking.
The easiest way to really explain it is it came to me. I can't really 100% put my finger on how. People might call it channeling. People may call it ancestral knowledge. I actually think it's a bit like having an egg crack open. So because I broke, and as you know, I had my problem in 2022, it means at that moment I broke. And when I did that, it allowed energy and information to come into me, to be given to me, if you like, because the blueprint is really based on old Egyptian teachings. A lot of that is part of it, because I started looking first really was, why did the Egyptians put sacred organs in jars for the afterlife, but the brain they fried and they got rid of it? What was the reason for that? So when I started doing the research on case studies, white papers, etc., I started to realize science was showing that the body literally carried the memories and carried the information. So it led me to start looking more at the body, what happens and how it happens. So with the blueprint, that was based on ancestral healing, based on numerology, which I invented a different version of, astrology, because obviously astrology comes into it with the date of birth. But I think the most important part was realizing that your name, the words, when I say your name, that word is used for your mind as something to explain something. That's it. But for your body, it's not that. It's a vibration. The meaning of the word is irrelevant to your body. That's why every time you speak to me, people see me online, I always say grand rising, all the time. Because to me, when you say good morning, your body doesn't know the difference between morning as in the start of the day or morning of someone that's passed. So vibrationally, it has exactly the same signature. So for me, it was a matter of saying, well, I need to look at vibrations rather than the meaning of words. So with the blueprint, that's what it was created on your name. The vibration of your name created your cells and your organs when you were a baby to the age of when you were grown. That means it recognizes it. So for me, when I say Mark, my whole body will do a little dance because it knows that's who I am vibrationally, not the name. Then if I say Mark Anthony, my body to this day still jumps because I was told off as Mark Anthony. So it remembers being told off as Mark Anthony, that energy. The same way, if you imagine, when you talk, if anyone has a pet, a dog, if you say something in a certain voice, oh, you're a naughty boy, and you say it in a good voice, the dog wags its tail and thinks you're saying something nice because of the vibration of what you're saying. They don't know the meaning of the word. So they hear the vibration and they react to that. We're exactly the same. The only difference, we have a brain that over the centuries has devolved into something that believes it's always right. It's only right based on the past, based on the information of the past to look at what's happening in the future. So the blueprint was born out of realizing if you show someone their vibration and write it out in a way the body understands, it will resonate. Because what happens is when you read your blueprint, Your brain does an electrical signal that goes down your body into your vagus nerve, into your cells and your organs. That's what happens when we read. What that does is it means the cells and organs, oh, this is about me. I recognize this. And that allows you to have that feeling of oneness with yourself, to like you belong, because that's what the blueprint has done for people. It's something like opening up the curtain of who you are when you were younger, helping you remember who you are, because over the years, we forget. We go through life, we have stress, we have whatever it is. That puts us in a different vibration of who we were originally created. And for me, a lot of this started because of a stem cell company reaching out to me and asking me, when we treat people with autism, why does it work good on children, doesn't work so well on adults? I explained it's because you're putting an architect's drawing into an adult that can't see it anymore. It doesn't know who it is, can't send out the T zones and exomes. So what you have to do is reset that body back to a child's biology and energy. When you do that, it will work the same way as it is in a child's body, because when you put in a stem cell in there, it allows the child to send out the exomes and T cells to heal the body. That's why one of the biggest things in medicine at the moment, they have these patches that they put on people's arms that are supposed to regenerate your stem cells inside you. That's what they're doing. What it's technically trying to do is do what I do with the blueprint and the reset. Take people back to that biological state so their body architecture is the same as it was when they were younger. That means all healing, all parts of the body can do. The same way, when you were young, you believed, you had belief. If someone told you something, you didn't tell, that's not true. You just believed it. We can go back to that in our biological state if we allow it. That then follows, the body leads the mind back to who we are.
Yes, yes. No, it made me even think of, I went through the Landmark Forum at one point, and one of the things that just stayed with me was their definition of like human beings, which ties in a different way of saying just different words at a much more superficial level, but we're meaning making machines. So something happens, so we say, well, that happened, so that must mean this. So if that happens again, then that will mean this, because we're always trying to find safety. We're always trying to find a way to feel like we're in a place where we can expect or anticipate what's going to happen next. I mean, we're very civilized animals. I mean, I just fed the squirrels and the little creatures this morning, walking the dog, and just to see how their trust has grown over time, because they realize I'm a safe person. They call me Snow White here. But anyway, they know when they're around safety versus a predator or a dog that's running quick to catch them, but we're meaning making machines. So we attach a meaning, and then I'm curious to your like reflection back to that, because as children, when depending on what kind of experiences, and I know you lived through, I don't know the details, but you lived through a traumatic childhood, and the meanings that we defined around either what we did or how people treated us, what that meant, and how we go forward from there. I think it's amazing what you're doing and taking that to create what you've created now and are doing in the world. I'm curious with your reflection on that.
Yeah, for me, when we carry on, I used to put it like this to this day, really. I used to live as an adult with a child's nervous system because it never grew up. And that was learned by me as a child, because my upbringing, I had to hide half of who I was because I was mixed race, brought up in a family that was racist, foster parents, and couldn't show my Caribbean side. Had to hide that because it wasn't accepted. It wasn't accepted, so I hid it. What that does is that teaches me on the nervous system to split in two and be secretive and devious, if you like, but in pain. That's the part that people miss. The pain was real at that point of my child. When I was 10, 11, I used to go up to people that knew me and say, I don't know who I am. I don't understand. When my father, who was a bit of a bad man, he passed away when I was 11. When he passed away, I just went off the rails. I became naughty, very naughty. And that was my childhood. what that taught me as an adult was what you're talking about. You know, the experience made my mind look back at that past. Whenever it looked back at the past, it made me angry, resentful, miserable, shameful as well. When that happened, that would then lead me to live my life a certain way. So I'd carry on that same routine, that same looping, that same energy into the world. And when people met me, I may be saying nice, pleasant things, but they would feel that anger because, you know, to be honest, I hated the world. Why me? This is so wrong. Why did that happen to me? And what I've realized is everything in my past happened for a reason to get me to where I am now. It created that blueprint, it created that reset because without it, I wouldn't have the understanding of what I do. So, my childhood, you know, I tell people now, they say, "Oh, Mark, it was terrible." I said, "No, I'm blessed. I was blessed to have that childhood because without it, I couldn't be here now. I couldn't be who I am." I help people realize that all the time you're saying, "Oh, I wish that abuse never happened. It ruined my life." As soon as you say them words, you're creating that in the future. You know, it just creates it. What I say now is, I'm blessed to have that experience that doesn't cause me any pain anymore. That's where I come from because I've embraced it. But the pain is no longer there because it's not in my body anymore. I have a memory that I could probably remember something, I can, but there's no energy attached to it. And what you're talking about is when you go out in nature and you're sat out there and the animals come to you, it's because you're not acting as a human. You've literally disconnected your brain. And all you're doing is vibrating through your skin. Because remember, the skin is the biggest organ, it's 2 meters. Funny enough, the same size as a yoga mat if you lay it out. Not that I've ever done it, but it's like it is. And our skin view is what we absorb the most information with. We believe it's our eyes. Our eyes are not to be trusted. Our eyes will tell us something that isn't true. You've only got to look at the 3D online. We're showing this 3D image. My brain sees it and says, "Oh, that arm's coming out of the screen." It isn't. When you realize that, you realize the brain's not telling you the truth, but your heart is, because when the arm comes towards you and you notice it's not coming out and it's not there, your heart beats very slow and very normal. You go very relaxed. Horror movies tell you the same. Here's an experiment. Watch a horror movie with the sound down. It's not scary at all. You ain't scared at all. You watch it like, as soon as you put that sound on, as soon as that sound sets you up to have your body in that moment of getting heightened, you jump. You're scared. That's what the difference is. We think that everything goes through the brain into the body. It's the other way around. It goes through your body up into the brain. So when you allow yourself to disengage the brain, that's when the future is not based on your past. Because what happens when you have a traumatic past, you can spend years of your life living in that, just staying in that trauma. It's something that if you look at PTSD now, I've had a few clients that have had that. Had is the word I use because they don't anymore. Because what PTSD is a looping between the body and the brain. So when you're in the war zone, your brain sees this energy, sees the traumatic events happening. Your body then has that emotional attachment to that. What happens is when they come back, if a car bangs or there's a loud noise, the body literally remembers the war zone, sends a signal up the vagus nerve into the brain. The brain says, "I recognize this signal," then does the story of the war zone again because it's the same signal. All you have to do is take that signal out of the body. So then the brain does not know it's the same. It doesn't do the same looping and the same story because the brain to me is just a storyteller of what the body's telling it. It's the way to translate the signals from the body. And when you learn that and you tap more into your body, it allows you just to be free. Because I've always said you can live in fear will. Fear will is based on the past, or you can live in free will. That's based on a future without no past.
Right. And that's where I think when you're saying the memory of the past with minus the emotion becomes the wisdom. So you have the memory, but it's not charged with any kind of electrical, oh, this is scary. It's like, no, that happened. And that is just what happened. And so, and I think your journey, had you not experienced what you did and come out the way you did on the other side, you know the peaks and the valleys to help people get to that other side of being free again. Because I was thinking the other day, anticipating us talking, that when we look at everything that is out, especially on LinkedIn, around toxic bosses, toxic work environments, I always say wherever you go, there you are. So you have a leader in place who's, I can't tell you, I'm sure you've seen them too, the number of posts that people write about the mean boss, the boss who's got the big ego. That's just a kid that's wounded, that hasn't dealt with whatever's going on that happened way back then, and they either don't know they can fix it, don't know how to be free from that, or create a new life for themselves. So they'll just keep being a bully in the workplace. I actually have an article years ago that I wrote about when your boss is a bully, because I had the bully boss, and it was horrible. It was horrible. But I just think that unless we go through the dark moments and come out on the other side, and don't let it become the author of the rest of your life, those are just things that happened that we can work through and be free on the other side of it, as long as we're willing to do the work. Talk a little bit about the 78 days, the 78 organs. Like, I think that is so interesting. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so the 78 days, it started because, I used to like tarot cards, funny enough, not because I think they predict the future, but I think they're just something for a good guideline sometimes. And I found them very interesting. Then I realized there's 78 tarot cards in a deck. There's also 78 organs in the body. So I thought, well, why is that? So I put the two together. So each tarot card I put with an organ. That's how I started. Then after that, I started looking up the number 78 and realized there's 78% nitrogen in the air. Why is that? Why is there 78% nitrogen? I don't know, but this number 78. The 78 in maths is also a 12 triangular number. So each one makes a triangle if you have 78. So it was like, this must, there must be something in this number. Then I kept researching it. Platinum is a 78th number of forget the name of the scale, but the chemistry scale. And platinum comes from the stars. So I was like, well, maybe there's something in 78. So I'll do a framework of 78. So that's where the number comes from. I could give you many other examples of 78, but they're the main ones, because obviously our body has probably about 78% liquid if you take water, blood, and intestinal fluid. So it's that. And the biggest one really was the vibrational energy of the world is 7.83, the Schumann resonance. So it was like, when I work on the perception that I'm a conduit. Everyone's a conduit between the sun, the core of the earth. We vibrate in that. When you allow yourself to vibrate correctly, you're happy. Same way you have a violin. If you play the violin and you don't have the strings going right, it makes a horrible noise. We're the same. So it's to get us in alignment. Then it was a matter of trying to work out, how can I achieve that? 78 organs, what that means is it has to be 78 days, because you can't clump it all together. You can't just have all the organs put together on one day and say you're going to take the energy out of that. So each day, based on the blueprint, it's always based on the blueprint, you're given an organ each day to have a conversation with, to look up, to see how the organ works. That then builds up that relationship with your body slowly but surely. Some people have said, I've had doctors, therapists do it and say, not sure, but after a few weeks, they realize their body starts talking to them. Their whole outlook on life changes. It becomes new. You also look at 1 cell a day, 1 cell of the body. You look how it works. What the 78-day reset is doing is connecting you back to your core, to who you are, your body, over those 78 days by plugging in a bit more each day. I do that with a lot of tonal work. I use tonal work because I'm trying to cut out the brain and have the body oscillate to the tone. So when people do tonal work in the reset, it's not for the ears, it's played for the body. So what that means is you listen to the tone in a different room, not in the same room as you. You play it at a low level. But trust me, if you play 528 in your house every day for a month in another room, you will start to feel better, just naturally. In science, they've proved that links up to making the body calmer. They're inventing now headphones you put on that play this sort of tune and tone. For me, I think they're great. I'm not going to knock them, but anything that you put through the ears into the brain can be distorted by the brain. So I'm always wary of things going into the brain first. On top of that, I also do mirror work in there. The reason I do mirror work is because when you look in a mirror, you can't hide from yourself. You can't. You have to see yourself in the mirror. I have people that say after a few days, it was like staring at a stranger, because I didn't realize I was hiding myself. I wasn't being true to who I was. So there's mirror work in the reset each day. I also do candle work. The reason I do candle work is very loosely, it's like EDMR therapy. So with the flashing lights that disengage your brain, if you stare into a candle, very naturally that happens. So you can do affirmations, you can do tonal work, you can do different parts. I use a bit of journaling. Not everyone, funny enough, this is something that's happened over the last 4 months. Not everyone gets journaling. So some people that go through the reset, they don't actually get any journaling, because every reset is unique. Not one is the same. So for one person, they might start on their heart. Another person starts on the lungs. Someone starts on the skin. Then the next organ will be something totally different, because we all vibrate differently. We're not the same. This one size fits all does not work. It may help, but it does not work. It's the same as having a safe. If you have a safe with a tumbler and you turn the same number, it wouldn't open every safe. It would only open the safe that fits that number. We're the same. So to unlock who we are, you have to go through each door, each gate, as I call it, each day, certain time of that month, because that's the other part. With this 78-day reset, I also link it up to the lunar movement, the movement of the moon, because obviously in the moon movement, there's 2 times a month where they have neap tides. The neap tide means the ocean doesn't move as much. On those days, obviously, our body's not moving as much, because our bodies act like plankton. If you ever look at plankton in the sea and the way it works, it's always doing this lovely movement of waves, etc. Well, our body works exactly the same. Our body's forever moving like that. Trillions of cells, always moving, always changing. So it means when there's a full moon, the gravitational pull is stronger. That means it will pull certain parts of your body stronger, your heart, your lungs, your liver. Same principle. On other days, the moon's in a different place. It means your body's more like a violent sea, moving around a lot more. So you have to use these parts to have the reset working in the right order for that person. You know, as I was talking about today, I'd love it, or yesterday, I'd love if they would start researching operations, and they would research. We do an operation for a heart on these certain months, on these days of the month when the moon is in this position. Is there any difference in the results? Do some people get better on certain days, on certain months of the month for the moon? Because of the moon, I do meet more people. Same with if you looked at dialysis or cancer treatment. Is there certain days of the month where I forget the name of it, when you have cancer treatment, it works better, or other days? Because I think we miss all this. We're so busy just saying, well, we've got the mechanics down, right? We know this, know that. We don't look at what's happening on the month. Because I did a protocol, funny enough, for people that were trying to do IVF, because I realized that in science, they don't know why. They know the mechanics of putting an egg with a sperm, exactly how it's going to create an embryo. But what they don't know is why it doesn't work sometimes. They haven't got a clue. They just don't. They don't know. And to me, it was the same way I talked about the stem cells. You have to prepare the body. You have to make the body prepared for that amazing event to happen, the universe, the soul, however you want to call it. Until you do that, it doesn't come. And then what happens, I find, I have a friend, the more stress happens, more I've got to have this, I've got to go through them again. And as soon as you're doing that, it becomes harder, because you have to relax. Because when you relax, the body disengages. So that's, I'm going off track a bit with the 78-day reset, but it's all part. Yeah, it's all part of the same thing, journey. I also use a lot of bath techniques. So I have a lot of people in the bath, laying in the bath, doing certain things with their arms, their hands, in a bit like Qigong and Tai Chi. So there's parts of that inside there. The reason I do that is because our bodies have meridians. So I can't get my clients to do acupuncture because I don't want them to stick pins in themselves on their own. But when you do Qigong and you tap certain parts of your body, it releases energy. Also, there's a lot of touching with your hands. So I get people most days to put their hand on their heart. When you put your hand on your heart, you start to feel the heartbeat. Then when you do that, you touch other parts of your body. Allow the heartbeat to go to that other part of the body. So the body knows it's wanted and it's loved, because it forgets. So really, it's a matter of reconnecting yourself to your body and having that relationship. The same way, imagine you haven't spoken to an old friend in 20 years. You phone them up and say, I want to be your friend again. The first thing they'll say is, what have I been doing for the last 20 years? You don't know who I am. The body's the same. We've neglected the body for so long. It's not a matter of just picking up a book and saying, I'm your friend again. You have to get that body to trust you again, to believe that you want to know about them. So I tell people with the reset, the 78 days when you agree to start it, that's the intention and the belief that starts the door and the journey to start, because you're willing to do something 78 days in a row for your body, not for your mind, not for mindfulness, none of that, but just to reconnect with your body. And for me, the blessing is I get such good results from people that have tried everything else you could think of, every other therapy in parts, and it hasn't worked. And they say, Mark, this unlocked the last part. And it's because that's the last journey you have to take, because the reset, not about doing practices every day, except for those 78 days. As soon as you finish, you don't have to do it again. You change. Your body's molecular structure is calmer, is at peace. You're more happy, more joyful. Problems don't occur anymore. You don't have that. I have, a client that is in a narcissistic relationship. Now it doesn't matter to her. It's like, he say what he likes. It's irrelevant because I'm in my peace of my body. You find who you are and you find your home inside you. So it's a very simple technique that takes 15, 20 minutes a day. You can do it anywhere in the world, anytime, any place. And, I do shower rituals. The reason for that is a cold water therapy. You turn the shower on for 30 seconds. The cold water comes down. That changes your molecular structure in 30 seconds. Not 20 minutes, 30 minutes like they tell you, sit in a cold bath 30 minutes. You don't have to. You do 30 seconds. The body changes in that 30 seconds. But I think one of the parts of the reset is probably the most important is the fasting. So every 6.5 days, you do a 34-hour fast. So on the 5th day at 9 p.m., you start a fast and you stop that fast 7 a.m. on the 7th day. Not everyone can do that because I've had people with diabetes, etc., and certain conditions, they weren't able to do that. So when that happens, what we do is we stop eating at 5 o'clock on one day and then wait till 11 o'clock the next day to have food. That way it gives you 16 hours. That allows the body to get into the energy of healing, if you like, of changing. So the fasting is very simple. It's not about having less food. It's about the energy. What we do is, imagine, we lose 40,000 skin cells every minute off our bodies. So when we go out in the environment, if someone's angry, that anger comes off their skin. If they're resentful, it comes off their skin. That's when you talked about toxic workplaces. Same thing, a toxic workplace is just because all their skin's falling off in the air. You're sniffing it up your nose. It's going into your, forget what they're called, but the folds in your nose. That energy is going into your body. Then what happens is, because every 5 to 7 days, our stomach lining renews itself naturally, just does it. It means we keep putting that energy back into our stomach, back into our system. Our organisms, everything inside our stomach, the acid changes every 3 to 5 days. So it means we keep having all this toxicity repeating in us constantly. So with the fasting, you're emptying your stomach. So when it renews, it's not renewing with this toxicity anymore. This hate, this anger, the world, what's happening out there. It renews back to your original blueprint of how you were young. An example for me, my stomach lining, I used to have a little, forget what it's called. My stomach lining used to pop out. It doesn't pop out anymore because my lining's stronger. The other advantage of it is in our intestines, we have stem cells at the bottom. They never normally come out because of all the energy and junk above them. Even if they do come out, they come out in our gut flora and they leak because of leaky gut, because our lining is weaker. When you strengthen that lining, these stem cells starts to come out. When that happens, you naturally start healing yourself. You naturally start feeling better. One of the things I have to do probably January. In January, I have to have a test because I was diagnosed with COPD 2 years ago. And I told people online, I'm going to heal it. Everyone laughed at me, obviously, but I'm going to heal it. I'm waiting to get the test to see if that's true because my lungs are better. I breathe better. and it allows that energy. So the fasting is because of the energy. So imagine if I walk into a restaurant, and when I walk into that restaurant, the staff aren't smiling, I literally will turn around and walk out, because what it means is the chef in the back room is cooking with not love. He's cooking with anger. He's not in a happy place. That then goes into my system. I tell people in the reset, when you eat, try to do it in silence as much as possible. Nothing's 100%. You can't always do that in silence. Try not to watch the news. I don't watch the news ever, but try not to watch the news, because that brings the energy into you. You've seen me say online, be kind to yourself, because your mirror will reflect back that kindness. That's not just a tagline, that's the truth. When you look in a mirror with kindness for yourself, your body feels it, your whole energy feels it, seeps into you, feel good. When you watch the news, you're all angry and look in the mirror doing your teeth. When you go to bed, you've already created that system that when you wake up in the morning, you're going to be stressed because you went to bed stressed. It's all, and they're showing that now. You look at all the apps out there, what everyone's telling you. Spend 15 minutes before you go to bed. Don't have your phone. Don't have light, etc. In the morning, don't have your phone. Wake up naturally. Go stand in the sunlight. Everything that I talk about, that I do, that comes from ancient teachings, is what science is trying to tell people to do now. They're obviously putting their own spin on it, and they're using an app or whatever it is, and that's great. But I feel that for me, what I try to help people with is, when you align with yourself, you don't need an app, you don't need a pill, you don't need any stimulants, because your body has it all. That doesn't mean you shouldn't take vitamins ever, or you shouldn't do certain things, but it means you can't rely on them to make you back to who you were. You can do it all yourself. And that's why I say trust builds, faith creates, belief creates miracles. When you see a miracle, you have belief. When you have belief, you have faith. And when you have faith, you trust yourself. That is a circle that you can live in. And when you're there, you can't lose it, because I live in joy and bliss of my cells and my organs. Sometimes it drives people nuts around me, because my life isn't perfect by any means. And I don't care. It doesn't matter, because every morning my feeling is this: I'm breathing. I have breath. What a bonus. I've got another day to spend in the world. I may not have had that. Some people don't get past certain ages. That's what I realize. I'm 56. I've got to this age. Be happy, be blessed, enjoy it. If your boiler blows up, my boiler blew up. Oh, well, I've got to sort it out. But if I wasn't here, I wouldn't get to experience that. I wouldn't have that. Anytime something goes wrong, always remember, if you didn't have your breath and wake up that morning, you wouldn't have experienced it. That's why I talk about the yin and yang, because you have to sometimes see something not quite as good to realize what is good. And I know you know this, that for some people in life, because they've been so successful, they have so much money, they're literally bored now, because all they get to do is the good stuff. And because they keep doing the good stuff, they're miserable. They don't want that anymore. They want something harder, I guess. So it makes that, I've had that experience where I had the blessing of traveling around a lot and doing this and doing everything I want. In the end, it was like, this is no good. I don't enjoy this anymore. So life has to be full. And the reset allows you to go back to your original place in the world when you're between the age of 0 to 7. I could talk for hours about this, so I'll shut up. But it's just,
It makes so much sense. I mean, in my mind is kind of, as you're talking, like traveling to all these different experiences that I've had with just people that I've encountered, and experiences that I've seen in people's lives, like, whether it's even my own siblings, or it's like workplace environment, and how people respond to the stress when, up until I really feel what you're doing is, I'll say, legendary. It is definitely like a visionary way of healing ourselves, because I keep thinking of that book, The Body Keeps the Score. That is, simply an entree to, okay, yeah, that's the truth. And then now what? And so I think, the 78-day reset, that is a natural like progression to do something about it. Many of the workplaces that I think of, like, just what I've experienced, what I've seen, people will try to just shut down, to numb that thing that's bothering them. So work will be a distraction. So they'll keep them, they're mentally busy during the day. Then happy hour comes. I used to say this working for a large agency in New York, like it was Tipsy Tuesday, Whiskey Wednesday, Thirsty Thursday, Beer Friday, and then it was the weekend. And it was always taking clients out and, these extravagant dinners and people would just not, I say, people would numb themselves, whether it was through substance or shopping or whatever vice of the day, because there was no space within that lifestyle to be able to let me go within, or even an avenue like this. What you're saying is like, it's not, you got to, commit to, a week long thing to be able to do this. You're talking about 15 minutes a day and focusing, giving back to yourself. It makes so much sense because it's natural that we would reject something that hurts us. We would shut that down. And when we connect before we're the age of 7, we associate things together that maybe aren't quite the right connection, but we don't have discernment, the ability to discern, oh, was that true? And a lot of it we don't even remember because we're so little, we're like sponges. So going through this process of just, regardless of what it was that happened, I think there's so much, variation of experiences that everyone has growing up. No one makes it out unscathed. I say that, and we get thrown on the conveyor belt of life, and whatever comes our way, we deal with it, and to have a way of breaking free from that and being at peace. And like I said, like removing the emotion from the experience, whatever those experiences were, just so that it's a memory. It's a memory. It's a wisdom. It's like, I remember that, but I have a wisdom about it. Like I had a critical father. And so I remember going through it was really difficult, but then at the outside, I've turned that. I always say my dad taught me how to turn lemons into lemonade. So I will, even to this day, and I can even run into someone else, and they're kind of, oh, work is, hard, or I've had a hard day. And I was like, and there's always an example or always a contrast. And I'm not saying this for anyone in a wheelchair, but I'll say, you're walking, you're not in a wheelchair. If you're in a wheelchair, you're still breathing. It's always that there's always something, the attitude of gratitude. And that's perhaps, plus my dad had a great work ethic, both my mom and dad. So, I mean, I gained, there's always positives. And then whatever it is that wasn't that, we take it and learn to grow beyond that. But also, I've, gone through therapy and became a life coach and Landmark Forum and became a Reiki master and a breathwork facilitator. I actually just did breathwork yesterday. So, it's and this is just a gift that anyone who is out there feeling, I've tried everything and nothing works. Like, nothing is enough. Like it gets you partway there, but it's still not all the way. Like definitely I encourage them to get in touch with you. I mean, I'll be putting everything obviously in the show notes below to get in touch with you so that they can take the first step. I mean, it's just so beautiful. Yeah, it's so beautiful.
Because you mentioned breath work, part of the reset is breath work too, because I believe it's a whole experience of everything. Whereas what we've seemed to have done in the health industry is what you're talking about, is they've separated everything. And all I've done is put it all together, because I think when it's all together, it's what we need. I used to share, it's going to sound a bit silly, but it's a bit like the Harry Potter hat. If you ever watched Harry Potter, they put the hand in the hat and it picks which school that they go to. The reset is very similar. It has everything in it. People put themselves into the reset. Over those 78 days, it's like holding up a mirror. In that mirror, they find their own resonance and their own rhythm. So that means certain parts resonate with them, certain parts they don't. So they stop doing certain parts of the reset and carry on doing the parts that resonate. Over time, that builds the alignment of the seesaw of life, is what I call it, where you have the brain and the body working together. And when that happens, the seesaw's at level. What normally happens is the brain's up here, the body's down here. So you get the wrong energy going all the time. Because as you know, and as I think a lot of people know, all I'm trying to do at the beginning of a reset is change someone's view, their point of view, who they are, their energy by 1 degree. 1 degree, because what happens is if you put a ball on a flat surface and you change it to that 1 degree, the ball rolls down that surface. It's the same for you. If you then find yourself feeling more positive, more happy, more joyful, the ball keeps rolling. You can't stop it. There's nothing you can do. And eventually you'll just be there and you'll wake up one day and say, wow, I can't believe this. And that's what I get. There's not a moment, people talk about, I had this enlightenment moment and everything changed. The reset doesn't work like that. You just wake up one day and, oh, I feel different. When something happens, you act differently. You don't, when someone would normally annoy you, you just smile at them. You just smile because, and the reason is when you communicate with your body first, that person feels your body. So how many times have you walked into a room and you walk in that room, there's someone in the room and you just want to go talk to them. You don't know why. You just want to go stand next to them. Why people think it's the words that are making someone stand there. It isn't. Many people can say the same words, do the same speeches, etc. But people don't listen. They're not interested. Because when you connect with your heart to someone else's heart, with your stomach to someone else's stomach, it allows you to talk that way. Because what people don't realize is we have 4 chords in up here. We have 2 vocal cords that I talk to you with, that I have this communication. Above them, there's 2 other flaps that vibrate constantly. You can train yourself to vibrate them. It's what Buddhist monks do when they do their chanting. And what that does is it puts an atmosphere into the environment. I used to use an app on my phone that would measure the decibels, the energy in a room. And I literally could put it in another room and I could get my voice to change the decibels in the phone in another room, because you're using your energy. It's energy work. Because online, I don't talk a lot about the shadow work I do and the energy work, because I want people to come to me, not because of that, but because I want to show them who they are, the beautiful soul, the person that they were born as. Because we're all born as this beautiful light, as this beautiful energy that's created from the universe, God, whatever you want to call it. I don't mind. It doesn't matter to me. You're just born from that beautiful energy. If you ever look at a baby, the way a baby just stares at you and just looks at you with this wonder in their eyes, that's really what I get people back to. Not just staring, obviously, but get back to that wonder part about life, that curiosity, because we lose that over time because we think our mind is telling us what's going to happen. And when it does that, it based it on the past. The past does not predict the future, because for me, I always say sometimes, it sounds a bit harsh, but I had to grow up. What happened when I was a child, the abuse, the trauma, etc., that's fine. For many years, I lived in that. But at a certain point, you've got to say, that's not who I am now. I'm not that child now. So I need to find a different way to live. I did years of therapy, CBT, except it didn't help me at all. So that's why I invented the reset, to find a different way. I always say some people, you can walk in the front door and you can tell them how to heal. With the reset, it's not like that. You kick in the back door and it shows them how to heal, because it's done gradually. It's not something you have to think. You don't think your way out of it, you feel your way out of it. And you do it just by walking up the steps, because when you walk up the 78 steps of the reset, you see the beautiful view at the top. But you have to do all 78, otherwise you don't get to the view.
So beautiful. It's so beautiful. Yeah. What a gift. Well, Mark, thank you so much. And I will say, I know one of the things that I had thought of was just a reflection on the soul blueprint. And I believe I messaged you this, but it was like, it's someone like you looking into my soul. Like the words on the page literally brought me to tears, because I know, having gone through the coaching program in the D.R. Goblin Center, one of the principles that they taught us was that one of the deepest needs we have, besides feeling loved as people or feeling love, is to be seen and to be like heard, but to be seen, to be truly seen. And I remember asking you, I think, when the first time we had a conversation about it, I'm like, how were you able to do that? Like, what is, how? Because it is so accurate and so deeply moving. I mean, that is the way that I would describe it. So anyone who, yeah, hasn't connected with you in any kind of a way for for your wisdom and knowledge to help them be free also, and just really know who they are, separate from all the conditioning of life and everything, all the costumes and all the masks that we wear to fit in and be part of something. Like, we're still our own, as you said, like, we're made of stardust. So, getting back to that essence is what you offer people, I believe.
Technically I reconnect your inner child. I did a lot of work with Carl Jung and the archetypes, etc. And it's like any given day, because I grew up, I never had a home. Many people grow up without a home. So if you haven't got a home at the moment, I show you where your home inside you is. And it means whatever's happening in your life, you can look inside. And for me, what's beautiful, when I look inside, I see Mark about 5 or 6 looking back and say, Mark, you're the man that you always wanted to be. Because when we're 5 or 6, we want to be a knight. We want to be chivalrous. We want to be a wonderful human being. That's just who we are. Over time, the experience turned me into a monster in some ways. So for me, going back to that is beautiful, because there's no such thing in my world as an evil person, someone that is horrible. Their experiences make them do things. And what happens is, if you're an empath, you're destroying yourself every time you do something wrong, because we all live with shadow in the sense of an archetype. Because I ask people about the beaker, put the drip in the beaker. Every time you told a lie in your life, put a drip of ink into a clear glass beaker. When you do that and take that beaker to the mirror, you can't see your face in it because there's a shadow between you. That's because we all do that. As soon as you go through the reset, you don't lie to anyone anymore, because there's nothing to be fearful of a lie. So if I don't answer my phone now to someone, I don't say I was busy, because we all do that. I'm sorry, I was busy. I just say at that moment, I didn't want to talk to you. I was doing something no, seriously, I didn't. I don't even look at my phone, because people don't realize when you have a phone and it rings, what happens is this. Your brain then starts this synapses of all this energy going, because your phone's ringing. Then it goes through 1,000 things of who it could be. I wonder who that is. What's going on? All that going on. Then you look at it and there's a name. Your first thing that comes up with a name is, oh, they want this. They're going to do that. Blah, blah, blah. And then that whole energy going. Why are you doing all that? You're just taking so much energy out of your body, because Buddha teaches about life force. Life force. We all have the same life force. And in that life force, if you're forever giving it over here, doing it over there, doing this, doing that, when you need to put it into focus in what you do, there's nothing left. There's no energy left. That's why you see people out there that are successful. Not they're smarter, not they're better, not anything about them. They just harness all their life force in one direction. They don't get anything else to distract them. They just follow their plan. And when you do that, whatever your plan is, you can get to it. Doesn't mean everyone can be a millionaire, everyone can be rich, but it means everyone can have a quality of life that fits their vibration, because we're not all meant to be chasing money. Choices is what makes you happy. You have the choice that day to do something you want to do. We all may have to work, but you can choose the work you do, not based on how much you earn, but how much your heart skips, how happy you feel. Because many people choose a job because of the amount of money they're going to earn, and they're miserable. They're not happy. Whereas some people say, I'm going to be a gardener because I like being outside. May not quite earn as much, but they have a life where they're happy because they're doing something their body wants them to do. So for me, it's just about being true to yourself. And when you are, everything else falls into place, because today is better than yesterday, but it's not as good as tomorrow. Every day is full of joy, because it's, for me, every day is improving. I can't stop that now. I've been on this journey. I can't stop. And I love it. I love what I do.
Yeah. It's so good. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'll have to have you come back on again. We'll do this in a few months and pick another angle. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you.
And that's a wrap on another episode of And Then I Did This, celebrating the lives of those who've walked away from the beaten path to pursue work and a life that nourishes their soul. If you're feeling inspired and ready to explore your own path to freedom, check out youcanbefree.life, where you'll find resources and support to help you break free and live life on your own terms. See you next time.